In this video, I'm going to work out the exact value for the sine of 24 degrees, and we're going to do so using the difference formula here for sine. So we have the sine of a minus b, and it has this expansion. And this expansion will also include values here. So the sine of 36 degrees and the sine of 54 degrees. We're going to go ahead and use these. And these values came from two other videos where I worked these values from scratch by writing equations and solving, and these were roots of those equations. So I have linked to these two videos down in the description for this video. So these are probably going to be much more interesting videos to watch because it's working them from scratch. But we're going to go ahead and use it here in this video. So the sine of 24 degrees. Let's go ahead and use the difference angle, and we'll say 60 degrees minus, let's say 36 degrees. And then 60 minus 36 will give you the 24 degrees right here. And so the expansion will be the sine of 60 degrees times the cosine of 36 degrees minus the sine of 36 degrees times the cosine of 60 degrees. Okay, so the sine of 60, that's not too bad at all. That's the square root of 3 over 2. And the cosine of 36, well, the videos I have previously worked out are all sine values. So sine and cosine have this really nice relationship where the cosine of one angle, in particular 36 degrees, is the same as the sine of the complement of that angle. So remember, complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So if I take 90 and subtract this 36, I get the 54 degrees right here, and I can exchange the cosine for the sine of 54. So when I go ahead and write that, it's the 1/4 times this quantity, the square root of 5, plus 1. And from that product, we're going to subtract the sine of 36, which we have written up there, which is the square root of 2 divided by 4, and then times this square root expression, and then times the cosine of 60, which is 1/2. Okay, so now it's just a matter of kind of simplifying this as best we can. So I noticed that we have denominators being multiplied here and also here, and they both end up being 8. So over here, we're going to have the square root of 3 over 8, and then times this quantity, the square root of 5 plus 1, and then minus, then it looks like we have the square root of 2 over 8, and then times this radical expression here. Okay, that's about as good as we can simplify that, and that's going to be the sine of 24 degrees. So what we can do now is we're going to go ahead and plug this into the calculator and just make sure that it works. Okay, so here's our calculator, and we're going to say inverse sine for this guy, so inverse sine, and then we'll put this ratio in. So the first one is the square root of 3, and we're going to divide that by 8, and multiply that by the square root of 5 plus 1. And from that, we're going to subtract the square root of 2, and that's going to be divided by 8, and that's going to be multiplied by this square root expression. And then jumping out of there, close all those parentheses, and yeah, 24 degrees. So we have this ratio here that's going to be the exact value for the sine of 24 degrees. And as I mentioned previously, I would encourage you to go check out the videos that I have linked for the exact value for the sine of 36 and the sine of 54 that made finding the sine of 24 possible.